Hi guys, it's Casey here at Colonial Gardens in Phoenixville. I'm out in our Monarch Waystation with one of the more underrated plants for the garden, but an essential one if you've got a pollinator garden. This is swamp milkweed, Asclepias incarnata. It's a native plant here to Pennsylvania, and as you can see, it is just coming into flower here in the middle of June. It's got really beautiful purple tone to its flower, almost like a mauve color, and it will have a bunch of different clusters of them all around the plant that will attract lots of different pollinating insects to it. In fact, right now we have a couple predatory bugs that are anticipating some of those other insects coming in for it. If you've heard of milkweed before, the plant is named after the sap that comes out when you break one of the stems. If you are to touch that sap, it is pretty irritating to the skin, and it makes it a pretty deer resistant plant overall. So if you're handling it and want to prune it, you want to make sure that you wear gloves. But if you face a lot of deer pressure in your area, it's a really great addition to the garden. This one has been here for a couple years, and you can see it's at about max size, around 5 feet tall, and it'll get about 3 feet wide. What makes this type of milkweed, because there's many species of milkweed, a little different than some others, is that it is clump forming, which means that you're not going to have as much rampant reseeding as you might have with other native species of milkweed, like common milkweed. That's often a really desirable trait for working these into the garden setting, because you're not necessarily looking for something that's trying to colonize the area. You're looking for something that's going to stay relatively in its own space, maybe get a little bit wider over time, but not something that's going to crop up in unwanted places and become a weed. Milkweed is essential for monarch butterflies. So while lots of native bees, butterflies, and even hummingbirds will come in and feed off the nectar of the flower, monarch butterflies rely on swamp milkweed and other types of milkweed as their host plant. Host plants are the plants where butterflies and moths will lay their larvae. Scientists believe that they're able to find the milkweed from visual and chemical signals that the plant is giving off, even maybe landing on the plant and tasting it with their feet to know that it's the right plant to lay their eggs on. For monarchs, they are host plant specific, so they really need this particular type of plant to lay their eggs on, or they're not able to complete their life cycle and generate the next population of butterflies. Eradication of milkweed, because of course we called it a weed, and eradication of a lot of the prairie lands in the middle of the country, but also here in the East Coast, has led to a big decline in butterflies, especially monarch populations. As they migrate up and down our East Coast, they need milkweed in all parts of there to be able to find a place to lay their eggs. So if you have a Monarch Waystation like us, we have to have several types of milkweed in this place to be able to give the monarchs a chance to reproduce. So this is an essential part of that garden, and it is a really well-behaved plant overall. Again, it gets about 5 feet tall, so you might want to put it towards the back of your garden, but you're going to get really lovely little June blooms, and you're going to be able to attract monarchs to your yard. This milkweed actually gets a little bit bigger in the garden setting versus in the meadow because it doesn't have as many competitors. It doesn't need a lot of fertilizer or anything like that. It tolerates our heavy clay soils. And while it's called swamp milkweed and really does enjoy some moist soils, it does become drought tolerant as it gets established and will tolerate some more dry sites as well. So it's a really versatile plant that doesn't require a lot of input, but it has a huge impact on our wildlife. So I highly encourage you to go out to your local nursery if you're here in southeastern Pennsylvania, that might be Colonial Gardens, and find yourself some swamp milkweed, and that will be part of creating a better future for butterflies and an awesome pollinator garden for you. So thanks for watching, guys.